Good afternoon, everyone. We've been joined by Oregon State coach Scott Rueck. As a reminder, please raise your hand. We'll have the microphones brought to you for questions. Prior to that, Coach, if you could please provide an opening statement with an outlook on your team, how you got here, and your forecast, if you will.
Sure. I hear rain, but it's which will just be similar to what we left, actually. It was beautiful, actually, right when we left, but we had a little rain this week. Feels like home, to be honest. The temperature and everything. Everything was smooth travel-wise. It's great to be in Albany. Appreciate Sienna and the MAC for hosting. Everything's been real easy. Travel was as easy as it could be to get here. And so we always talk about any place, any time. And so it doesn't matter the time zone or whatever. We're excited to compete. As far as our team goes, this has been an incredible group to coach. Just a resilient, tough, just another really special Oregon State team full of high character individuals. We've had some adversity this year, a little more than we ever have before. We had our first season-ending injury this year in Cat Tudor to open up Pac-12 play, opening night actually in the first half. So when you lose a dynamic scorer like that, of such a big part of what we do, somebody who brings a swagger and a confidence to the court, other people have to really step up, and that's what everybody who's watched us all year has seen, is the team just continue to rise. Now, this week, for the first time, I can really say this conference is the best one in the country. We've got 5 teams remaining out of 16. I don't think any of us are surprised at all by that. I'm not. And we're all battle-tested, and so what a pleasure to be a part of a conference that is coached as well as it is, and to compete every night with your back to the wall, and that's what life in the Pac-12 has been. And so really happy for the other 4 schools to get to this point, and excited about all the challenges that we face.
Thank you. If we have questions, up here on the right for Doug.
Hey, Scott, Doug Farmer, the AP. It's usually said in March that survive in advance, and you guys have lived that, it seems. I mean, Boise State and then the Zags. What's it been like for you as a coach? I mean, is it more fun in the games like that, or would you rather have an easier road to get here?
It's a great question, because we're learning to love these grinded out, crazy finishes that we've been part of. It's almost become a habit, it seems like. I can tell you this, coming off, you were at the Pac-12 tournament. That didn't end the way we had hoped for us, of course. That was a lot to overcome, and to live with those feelings for 15 days before we got to play again, where it's by far the worst loss of the season for us. Everybody else we've lost to is still playing, by the way, this year. I thought it took us a while just to remember how to play. Then you're playing a team as good as Boise State, and anybody that watched that game could see how dangerous that team is, how gritty and tough and well coached they are, and how skilled they are. And so literally to survive that game, to come 4 down with 17 seconds to go and find a way to win it in overtime, speaks to the things that I mentioned earlier, and that's just the toughness and resilience of this group and their will to win with their backs to the wall and come through and make plays. Then to turn around and face a Gonzaga team, who beat Stanford this year, another 28-4 team, only lost to 2 teams all season long, that expects to be here and is so well coached and good. So I thought those were just 2 great wins. I thought they were signature performances for this team, because that's what we've been doing all year. And so I think it just reiterated who we are, to be honest. And so now we're ready for the next one. But I did think that we played more like ourselves against Gonzaga. I mean, there was an intensity on both ends of the floor, and I liked seeing how many different people rose in that game. Maddie Washington had one of her best games of the year, and that was something that we couldn't have predicted necessarily before. We'd hoped, but couldn't have predicted, and so it's a good sign going forward.
Thank you, Coach. Question here to the right.
Tim Wilkin from the Albany Times-Union. Scott, what do you think Louisville's strengths are, and do you guys go into this game considering yourself the underdog?
Well, I think they have a lot of strengths, actually. everything points to us being the underdog going into the game, so I'd have to say yes to that. Asia is unreal. I mean, I've been watching her since she was in high school. On the circuit, we didn't recruit her, but we were in the same gyms watching. Just a remarkable talent, remarkable competitor. Does everything right. I mean, she's what it is. She's what it's about, in my opinion. I love her game, always have. And so when you've got a player that has that level of ability, she makes everybody else get better. And she gives so much confidence to that team while everybody else is good too. And so it's just a team that can play at different tempos. It's a team that's very versatile. It's a team that can hurt you inside and outside. And so they are a 1 seed for a reason. They're very dangerous. They're outstanding in the open court, and yet they execute well in the quarter court. When you take everything away and there's 3 seconds on the shot clock, they can throw it to one of the best players in the game, and it's really difficult to keep her from getting a good shot off. And so they're extremely dangerous, in a lot of ways. And so a great team and a great challenge.
Thank you. Question over here on the right. The left.
Hey, Scott. Ron Callan, 1190 KX in Portland. And last year, you go into Knoxville, beat Tennessee. Then you go home. Then you go back across the country to Lexington, and you beat Baylor. Can you kind of take us through that Louisville game, your thoughts about what happened in that game?
Yeah, it was a heck of a journey. This year it's kind of nice. Finals were a week earlier as in comparison or as it relates to the NCAA tournament. So we didn't have finals this past week. We were on spring break. So we were able to focus a little bit more. What that team accomplished in those 2 just highly emotional games was incredible. And then we go into Louisville in Lexington in front of, 6,000-7,000 people wearing red and going crazy. And so it was a home environment for them, without a doubt. I thought they rode that emotion very well. We could not get settled. They did a really nice job on Marie in that game. They were very physical with her, kept her off her spots. And that skewed us just enough to put us on our heels, and Louisville does a great job with pressure. They sense weakness. And anytime you demonstrate that, they came after us. They turned us over, got in the open court. I actually felt good at halftime, down 8 in that game. I didn't feel like we played great, but then they came out and just had an incredible third quarter. I think they scored 28 points in the third quarter just to separate, and that was the deciding factor. Marie fouled out for the first time in her career on her last game. So it was just one of those days, and looking back at that film and even this week reflecting on it, I don't think I did a very good job in putting us in position to be successful in that second half in particular. And it was just one of those games that got away from us, but it's a grind from a 6 seed. I can tell you that, to get to that point with all the travel and just how emotional and draining all those things were. But they were a great team. And so, that's the way that game went.
Over here to the right.
Christopher Lopez, SoCal News Group. You mentioned the Pac-12. Pac-12 has an 11-1 record. UCLA is here. Can you talk about competing not just for Oregon State, but on behalf of the Pac-12 and the camaraderie maybe that you have with Coach Close and some of the other coaches in the Pac-12?
Yeah, it's a great group. It's an amazing group, actually. That's the interesting thing that's been fun to watch. When I came in, this is my 9th year at Oregon State, and in the Pac, it was Pac-10 actually when I first got there, and we were known as Tara and the rest, basically. So Stanford and everybody else, and and I think now this conference is obviously not that. You've had a different champion the last 5 years. She had won it 14 straight until we won it in 13-14 or 14-15, I guess was our first. And so to watch everybody elevate and everybody see themselves differently and everybody see that it's possible, not necessarily just to win conference, but to compete nationally. The Pac-12 network came in. Women's basketball, nearly every game is on TV. Everybody started paying attention to it. And if you weren't really working, you'd quickly fell to the bottom, and there was a change made. And now you look across the board, the conference has hired proven head coaches, with very few exceptions, and everyone's doing a fantastic job. We're scheduling much better as a conference. We're recruiting much better. We're able to keep West Coast players west. That was not happening a decade ago, and now it doesn't always happen, of course. People have their preferences, but a large majority are staying now because there's so many great options, which has just increased the talent level. And so you've got a combination of great players and great coaches. And then we beat each other up, like I mentioned a little bit ago, over and over. And, there's really nothing we haven't seen, to this point. We've seen great players. We've seen great schemes. And so now we're all battle tested, going into the NCAA tournament. And so I mentioned it at the tournament, actually, that anybody who is able to get to the postseason is going to be ready. And that's proven true.
Thank you.
Thank
Question
you.
here to the left, Mel?
Mel Greenberg.
Hi, Mel.
Hi there. Does a 9:30 start helpful to you? I mean, an earlier game would be all right, but the fact is you're still in your natural West Coast working deal where, and it could be later if the game goes in overtime.
Yeah, 6:30 you mean? And so I'm teasing. It's 6:30 our time, when we tip. And so I mentioned before, I don't put much on those things. I think those become distractions if you give it any kind of credence. And so anytime, any place, we have to play 11 a.m. games sometimes at home. We've had to play 8 p.m. times. Sometimes we have to play 8 p.m. on a Friday and a noon game on Sunday in conference with the travel in between. And so we don't pay attention much to those things. And so my goal, though, I can tell you, is to keep our team on West Coast time, this weekend.
Thank you. Question here?
Yeah, Michelle Vopa for ESPN.com. Scott, as somebody who's such a great defensive coach, can you evaluate Louisville from that aspect for us? Because they've led the ACC in defense the last 2 years, and I think a lot of times people pay attention to Asia being a great offensive player, but defensively they've been tough, and you can compare them even from last year to this year.
Yeah. I think I mentioned the word versatile earlier, and I think that's what makes their defense what it is. I think they can play different styles. They'll give you different looks to keep you off balance. And so you just have to play the game, and you have to, be ready for anything. Nothing can throw you off. Maybe they're going to trap you this time. Maybe they'll play position the next time. And, maybe they'll go to their zone. Maybe they'll pick up in a zone press, maybe they'll pick it man full, maybe they'll trap out of that. And so I think they do a great job of adjusting on the fly. And their defense in general, their mindset is zone-ish. But like I mentioned, if they sense weakness, the pressure will come. And so they have an identity that's defensive, even though they're an outstanding offensive team as well, which is a sign of a great team, in my opinion, is you've got to identify on both ends of the floor and play multiple ways, and they do a great job of that.
One more. Doug, on the right.
Scott, I know you probably figure control what you can control and not worry about things that are out of your control, but I'll ask us anyway. The NCAA changed the rule a couple years ago that you couldn't have two teams from the same conference playing in the same region until a certain point, because I think the Texas A&M versus Baylor game in 2012, that was the fourth time they met. With a regional in Portland, would you have minded playing there, potentially seeing Oregon again in the regional finals or semis versus traveling across country? I mean, obviously Portland is pretty close to you guys, I would think, geographically, than flying cross country for your fans.
Yeah, we're the closest. I honestly thought that might happen. I felt like we'd see Gonzaga, in Corvallis if we were able to host. And then I wouldn't have been surprised to see that at all. And I kind of thought maybe we'd both be there. Whatever. It is what it is, and like you said, I can't control it. And so wherever we go, we play, and so here we are. And so Louisville's next. And so the next 40 minutes are all I care about.
Coach, thank you. Good luck against Louisville.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll get started here with our student athletes from Oregon State. I'd like to introduce Katie McWilliams, Destiny Slocum, and Michaela Pivick. Ladies, if you would please just remember to speak into the microphone. This is being transcribed and recorded. We will begin with questions from the media. If you would raise your hand, and we will have the microphone brought to you. We'll start here with Doug.
Doug Feinberg, the AP. For all three of you, I mean, obviously the Pac-12 tournament did not go the way you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Coach said it took you a couple days, or I think he said 15 days till you played again. How long did it take you guys to sort of get over that and say, okay, you know what, we're still playing, we still have things to goals to meet? How long did it take you to get over that loss to sort of refocus and get ready for what you've done so far in this tournament?
We'll start with Michaela.
Yeah, it was a disappointing Pac-12 tournament for us, very short stay, but we tried to get over that as quickly as possible because your season was not over at that point. We knew we'd be playing in the NCAA tournament. We weren't exactly sure whether we'd be hosting, whether we'd be traveling, but we knew we had the opportunity to play another game, and we were excited by the opportunity. Obviously, we were the first couple days after watching the other teams continue to play in the Pac-12 tournament, disappointed about that, but it was time to refocus on the next step. So we had a couple days off to kind of refresh, get our bodies a little bit of time off, and then we had a couple practices together as a team, just our players while our coaches were out recruiting, and then we came in the next week and started full-blown into our practices on that Monday. So it was trying to forget about it as quickly as possible, but then learning from those mistakes we made and getting ready for the next step.
Katie, how long did it take you to regroup?
I mean, Mick said most of it, but I will say that I thought in the Boise State game we started off well, and then I felt like there was still kind of that rust there, like we weren't, I mean, maybe the best team that we could have been, and then I felt like we were back together again in that Gonzaga game. We had a great overall game in terms of executing offensively and defensively, so I feel like we're that team back again.
And anything to add, Destiny?
Yeah, I just think that the Washington game was over after it happened. There wasn't much we could do about it. There wasn't much we could change. As a team, we talked after just moving on, and that we had an opportunity, and we still have an opportunity to do something uncommon and continue an NCAA tournament, something that not a lot of teams get to do. And so I think right away we had to be on to the next. There's not an option, and it's what's carried us through the last two games.
A question here to the right, Michelle.
Michelle Vopel, ESPN.com. Katie, I'll ask you this. To lose Kat so early, right there at the start of the Pac-12 season, you guys kind of had to just regroup. I mean, it's tough emotionally, but can you just go through how you guys dealt with it, and then, you know, just what sort of inspiration she's been, you know, just being on the bench and helping you?
Yeah, you know, that's something you never want to happen to any player, but you know, we've all had to step up in our roles, and that's what Coach Scott said right away the next day after it happened, that just everyone's going to have to rise for this team. And obviously Kat was such a big part of our team. I mean, one of our top scorers and lights out from the three-point line. And so even though she's been hurt and been going through that recovery process, she's been such an energy booster off the bench. I mean, you can see her on the sidelines just going crazy after we make shots, and then she's just very competitive, and so she kind of brings out her competitive spirit into us. And so just a great teammate and someone that I see her doing her recovery routines, and I just know that she's working really hard, and I know she's going to be back better than she was.
We have a question on the left.
A question for Mick and Katie, and then a question for you, Destiny. The question for you guys, what's it going to be like to have this rematch with Louisville? Mm-hmm. And for you, Destiny, what's it going to be like for you to play in your first Sweet 16 with Oregon State?
Michaela, go ahead.
We're excited about this opportunity against Louisville that we'll be playing tomorrow. They ended our season last year, ended Marie Gulich's career, and they're a very talented team. We know that, and we'll be excited for the opportunity tomorrow.
Yeah, I just know that I'm happy to still be playing, and so just to be here at the Sweet 16 and to get another try against Louisville is just an exciting opportunity for us.
I'm excited to be a part of the journey this time. You know, last time I was watching from home, everything that they were doing was awesome, but I'm happy that I can be here with them and continue the journey.
Up here, Doug. While we're waiting for Doug, Mick, your coach talked about the competitiveness of the Pac-12. Could you speak to that and how it's prepared you for this tournament?
Yeah, shout out to the Pac-12 5 teams and the Sweet 16 was awesome. We're always rooting for the Pac-12 teams when we're not playing them ourselves. So it's the Pac-12 play has really prepared us well for this tournament. Seeing a whole bunch of different styles of play, seeing teams that are super athletic, very disciplined, teams that can really shoot it, teams that are super athletic. So it's prepared us for any team pretty much that we'll see in this tournament, and we're excited about the next step.
Thank you. Doug?
Along those lines, I mean, do you guys text other players like on the other Pac-12 teams and say, hey, you know, great job, congrats on advancing, still playing? I'm sure you have friends in other teams. It's something that goes along, because the coaches have all been saying that, you know, it's great. We all tell each other, we support each other that way. And it sounds like you support the other schools, but is it more than just rah-rah, or do you actually have friends you're like, hey, great job, you know, maybe we'll see you guys in the Final Four or whatever it may be?
Kate?
Go for you.
Katie?
I don't really necessarily talk to anybody specifically on a personal level in the Pac-12, but I know that on Twitter we've just been congratulating them as a whole, just as the Pac-12, as a conference, as being so tough, and for all those teams making it this far.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I don't personally text anybody else in the other teams, but I know when I'm watching their games, I'm rooting for them. We had a game at Gill Coliseum this past week, and they were showing the highlights on the board of the updates to the scores, and UCLA beat Maryland, and like all the Gill fans started clapping and cheering for each other.
Any other questions? Ladies, thank you for doing this. Good luck to you tomorrow.
Thank you. Go Beavs.
Go Beavs.